and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to give you a tour of my new Google Sheets annual budget spreadsheet. This is a 12-month template that's going to help you track your income for the year and then how you distribute it between your savings, debt, and expenses. So there's two sides to this template. This is both a budget planner and a tracker. So you're going to start by customizing your categories, adding expected amounts, and then you're going to track what really happened. And the template is going to take all of that information and it's going to compare your plan against what really happened. So summaries are going to be created automatically. There's several tabs that are automated, that are summaries, that are going to give you useful insights based on your information. And as I mentioned, this is a 12-month template. So once the 12 months are over, all you have to do is use this link right here to create a new file and start fresh. And the template will work with any start month, any year. So you can track 12 months starting on any month that you want, any year. So let's get into it. You're going to start by customizing your template, and you're going to do that in the initial setup tab. So all you have to do is follow each of these steps and fill out the required information. As I mentioned, you can start on any month, any year that you want. And then once you're done with that setup, you're going to jump into the annual planner and tracker tab. And this is where you're going to customize your categories for each of these sections. So this is what it's going to look like, blank. And the most important thing you need to remember about this template is that you should only edit cells that have a white background. So very easily you're going to be able to tell which are the cells that are expecting some input and which are the cells that are either labels or automations. So you can add as many categories on each section as you want. All you have to do is insert new rows somewhere in the middle of each table. So you should never add anything above the first row or below the last row of each section, and that's the only requirement. You can add as many rows as you want. So once you fill out your categories, the first step is going to be to create your plan for the year. So you're going to fill out this table with your expected amounts, and totals will update automatically up here. So what you're going to be seeing is your income minus savings, minus debt, minus expenses, and this is going to be your expected amount left for this month. And then at the end of the table, you're going to find a summary of your total expected amounts for the year. So you only need to add your expected amounts once at the beginning of the year, and then that's done. And if you scroll to the right, you're going to find a similar table that's meant for actual amounts. So this is where you're going to track what really happened. Whenever you receive money, you're going to add it into the corresponding income source, and then you're going to track how you distribute it between your savings, debt, and expenses. Now, you're going to notice that your expenses section does not have a white background. That means that you're not supposed to edit this table manually, and I'll explain how it works in a moment. So income, savings, and debt, those are going to be tracked in a very simple way. All you have to do is add the total amount each month to each of your categories. But then your expenses, since those tend to have so many transactions, what I did is I created a dedicated expense tracker tab for each month. So you can find those 12 tabs down here, but you can also very easily jump into each tab by using these links over here. So if you jump into the first tab, this is what you're going to find. This is how it looks like once you already added some transactions, and then this is how it's going to look like empty. So again, you should only edit cells that have a white background. And as you can see, there are two separate tables in this section. One is meant for fixed expenses and one is meant for variable expenses. So the only difference between both tables is that in the first table, you're going to add transactions and they will not count towards any summary, towards any total. It will not be included anywhere unless you check the box to mark it as paid. So the spreadsheet will basically behave as if these transactions did not exist until you check the box to mark them as paid. So if you take a look at this summary over here, you're going to notice that with every box that I check, amounts are increasing. And then the table down below, anything that you add here immediately counts towards your summaries, towards your totals. So both of these tables are completely optional. You can use them however you prefer. You can ignore the one at the top if you want. Both of them can have as many transactions as you need. Again, all you have to do is insert new rows somewhere in the middle of each table, anywhere below the first row or above the last row, and then you can have as many transactions as you need. So this fixed expenses section, you could use this for bills, subscriptions, or you could use it only for those transactions, those planned payments, things you're already committed to that are not automated, that you have to go ahead and do something for them to get paid. So for example, rent, if that's not automated, if you have to do a wire transfer, then you can add that here, add it as a reminder. And if a date has already passed, passed and you haven't checked the box, the date is going to be highlighted in red. And then there's another cool feature that I added that's tied to this section. So every single month works exactly the same way. Every single month is going to get both tables. And what's going to happen is every single transaction from every single month that does not have the box checked is going to be joined together automatically in the pending transactions tab. So every single pending transaction is going to show up here. If a date has already passed, it's going to be highlighted in red. If something's due today, it's going to be highlighted in purple, and then everything else is going to be highlighted in blue. And right next to that, there's a calendar, a 12-month calendar that's going to highlight every single day that has a pending transaction assigned to it. And the color coding is going to be the same. So you can visit this tab regularly to stay on top of your upcoming payments. And once you're ready to pay a transaction, all you have to do is use these links to jump into that section and then just check the box to mark it as paid. And then once it's paid, it's going to be gone from this list. So you don't have to do anything in this tab. It's just a summary that gets created automatically. And then you have these useful links over here that are going to help you jump into the corresponding transaction. So that's, again, completely optional, but it's there if you need it and you find it useful. And then with every single transaction that you add, monthly summaries are going to get created automatically on every single monthly expense tracker tab. So you have your automated summaries, and then you also have a cool highlight feature. So if you select an expense category from this list, every single transaction that has that category assigned to it will be highlighted throughout this tab. And you can sort your summaries by each of these columns. So all of these, it's automated. You don't have to do anything here, but you can sort these tables if you like. And then totals for each category are going to get transferred automatically into the annual planner and tracker tab. So this was a table that you were not supposed to edit manually, and that's because it's going to get filled automatically with the transactions that you add on every single monthly expense tracker tab. So those are all the things that you're going to edit, and then everything else is automated. You get, again, your summary at the top, the same one that you had with your expected amounts. You get a summary for your actual amounts. And then if you scroll to the right, you're going to find a third section that's going to allow you to compare your expected amounts versus your actual amounts for each category. And what's cool about this is that you can choose a range of dates. So you could do January, for example, both times, and you'll only see totals for the month of January. Or you could do January and February. You could do the first quarter from January to March. And as you're selecting a range, totals are going to update to show information for those months. You could also select the entire year, for example. You could select the last quarter. So this summary is dynamic and you can choose a specific range of dates. And then to the right, you'll find rankings for actual amounts for each of your sections. So your categories are going to be sorted and your highest amount is always going to be shown at the top. So over here, you can see which was the income source that made you the most money. You'll have the same thing for savings, for debt categories. You can see which was the expense category in which you spent the most money. So all of this is automated, and rankings are my favorite feature. And then you also get a couple other tabs that are automated. They are also summaries, but these are 12-month summaries. So the first one is a 12-month summary of expected versus actual amounts. And if you scroll down, you're going to find a monthly breakdown for each section along with graphs. And the final one is a 12-month summary for actual amounts. So this would be the most important one. This is summarizing what really happened throughout the year, how much money you made, how you distributed between each of these sections. And then if you scroll down, you also see a monthly breakdown. And again, I included rankings over here. So you can see which was the month in which you made the most money, which was the month in which you saved the most, paid off the most debt, and then spent the most money on expenses. And finally, since there are so many tabs included, so many sections, I also added a main menu. And in this main menu, you have a section with quick links. So depending on what you want to do, you can use these links to jump into the corresponding section. And then you can always go back to that main menu using this main menu link that you're going to find at the top of every tab. So you can easily jump back and forth. And as I mentioned at the beginning, when you're done with your 12 months, all you have to do is use this link right here to create a new blank file and start fresh on any month and any year. So that's it for this video. This was a quick tour. If you would still like to know more about the template, get more details, see how it gets filled out step by step, step from scratch, then you can watch the full tour that I'm going to leave linked in the description. I'm also going to leave the link to purchase in the description. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out and I will be happy to answer them. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.